Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, you're going to be listening to a short, around about 12-minute, 13-minute hypnosis session designed to deal with a painful memory from the past. And a memory may be considered painful because of the emotion that it brings up. And for some people, that might be sadness, or it might be shame. It might even be anger, resentment, or frustration. But sometimes memories do cause emotional reactions. And because they're linked to the past, and we live in a linear three-dimensional reality where we can't simply change the past, we can't just make things as we want them to be, no matter how much we would want. In many ways, regrets and resentments are examples of the limited ability for us to change the past. But what you can't do in reality, you certainly can do within your imagination, because your imagination, as you know from thoughts about the future or jumping back to a memory, it's not linear. You can teleport through space and time. And hypnosis is a tool that can make that easier for people that struggle to, let's say, close loops of the past. So it uses a metaphor of a time machine. And the objective for you to get the most out of this is to think of a single painful, perhaps even traumatic, or just a moment of embarrassment or a cringeworthy moment that you felt awful. And to use this idea of a time machine to initially, in a disassociated way, observe what happened. Objectively, impartially, just observe the memory, like you're looking at it on a screen. And then rewind it and then see how you would want it to be if, and we're using the frame here because, of course, it's not possible to change the past, but if you could have changed the past, how would you have wanted it to have been? And what this does is it gives a frame of possibility. That's the function of the word if, normally in a hypothetical sense. But if you could, what would you do? And then when you've tested out different scenarios, use this hypnotic time machine to go back to that moment and live in a first-person perspective that moment as you would have wanted it to have been. And in doing so, you might notice that actually it changes how you feel about the memory, because you've now not only extracted the wisdom, but applied that wisdom and given evidence to your intuition that you would have done something different if you were in the same situation again. So that self-torture, that self-flagellation, the punishment of reliving a painful memory again and again is no longer necessary, because actually you've closed the loops by demonstrating that actually you could and would have done something different if you have the chance. And that can be quite an empowering way to feel better about the moment, but also to stop that memory coming back, because it has no function then to come back, because you've kind of closed the loop. You've almost rewritten history, which is an NLP protocol of changing past history. So there's elements of that. There's elements of disassociation, elements of timeline therapy, but all fused into a nice, tidy metaphor of a time machine. So think of a memory, and maybe if you're doing this for the first time, nothing too heavy, just a moment where you got embarrassed and you said the wrong thing, or you did something silly. And then use that for this. And then if that helps in some way, you can always make it for something a bit more intense of an emotion. So find a quite comfortable place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe in that calm feeling of slow relaxation, and as you exhale, just allow any feelings of stress, tension, or worries to feel like they're gently being released and leaving your body in that outward breath. As you breathe in and breathe out, just release any tension in your neck and your shoulders. Notice any tension in your jaw or your forehead and just release it all slowly and surely in every outward breath. And use the power of your imagination to imagine that you have access to a time machine that can enable you to teleport to any memory and any moment of the future, and to change what happened. Not in reality, but in your own perception of that moment. Optimists are those people that when they think of the future, they can't help but vividly imagine a wonderful future where good things happen. And some people, when they think of the past, rather than finding the most painful or embarrassing moments, they happen to seek out the very best moments of their life, the moments that make them feel loved and kind, important, or accomplished. But if every now and then your mind takes you to a place of worry for the future, or perhaps a place of judgment, regret, or even shame from the past, this is an opportunity. And you could just sit with that memory, realizing that memories are just memories, allowing it to be a leaf on a stream or a piece of driftwood in the sea, just allowing it to float on by. Or you could imagine what it would be like to go back to that moment and live it as you now would if you could go back in time to that moment, knowing that you're not changing what actually happened, but you're demonstrating the power of hindsight to banish open loops, unfinished business, to chase those demons of the past and turn them into empowering moments that are positive for you. So use the power of your imagination to imagine a time machine. Allow your imagination to construct this machine. And I want you to think of a memory that's come up more than once, that whenever you think about it, it creates a feeling of discomfort, shame, or judgment. And when you can think of that memory, let me know by nodding your head. I want you to imagine climbing into the time machine and seeing a small TV screen. And firstly, observing the memory as it happened like you have a video camera to go back in time and see it as it happened, but not relive it. And when you've done that, let me know by nodding your head. And then imagine there's a button on the time machine to rewind that memory to before it even happened. And just decide that knowing what you now know, what could you have done different? And this is a time machine that can distort the space-time continuum. So you could imagine seeing many different scenarios, possibilities, and maybe you can see 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 different possibilities as to how you could have been in that very same situation. And when you found the one that you like, the one that, knowing what you now know, would have been preferable, perhaps infinitely preferable to what actually happened, let me know by nodding your head. And then rewind it to before it starts, and then use the time machine to jump back into that moment in a first-person perspective, seeing what you saw that led up to that moment, but this time choosing to do something different. You're now in a first-person perspective, and you get to have it exactly as you would have wanted it to have been. Not to change the past, but to change this moment. Anything unperfect, jump back in time and do it again. And when you found a new way of living that moment the way you would have wanted to, let me know by nodding your head. And allow yourself to feel everything you would have felt if that was the feeling that you had at the time. Feel those wonderful feelings and realize there is no need to think about that original memory anymore, because you have demonstrated to your unconscious mind that now you know better, you would do better. That your hindsight means that you could have and would have done something differently if you can distort the dimensions of time. Because you've extracted the wisdom and demonstrated that you know the lesson that needed to be learned, and that your mind won't link this lesson to this moment, but to all similar moments in the past and the future. And therefore there is no need to punish you with memories of the past, because this point onwards now means any painful memory is an opportunity to extract all of the wisdom and not worry about what should have happened, but play around with the idea of what could have happened. And in doing so, each disempowering, limiting, or negative memory becomes a stepping stone to empowerment. Every memory makes it easier to update the next memory. Your brain will know what happened, but it will also know what you could have done in the same circumstances. And this is a demonstration of wisdom, of learning, evidence that you care and you're capable of empowering change. And you can listen to this again and again, each time changing the memory and updating it for what you would have liked to have happened in the same situation. And the more you do that, the more painful memories of the past become replaced with a tendency for your brain to no longer need to seek out those disempowering memories. As you imagine an old-fashioned radio now automatically seeking moments of kindness, accomplishment, pride, gratitude, and all the wonderful memories. That is now the default setting to find wonderful memories from your past. But any painful memories are now opportunities to change the past. Breathing in and breathing out, feel like you're drifting to the present moment, knowing that this time machine also works in the future for things that haven't happened yet. Extracting all of the preparation needed from a future memory to avoid falling in pitfalls that haven't happened yet, but also to activate optimism and positive thinking to increase the probability of a future that is also desirable. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. Connect fully with the present moment as I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.